Hi, so today we're going to be looking at the Sonsig Rev by Relab that's just come out, and it is a fabulous sounding reverb. I am a real stickler for reverb quality. These days 99% of things are recorded in small rooms because people can't afford to record in big studios with big rooms anymore, and well, many of them have closed down anyway. That these big rooms used to add their own natural ambience, and so the quality of studio reverbs wasn't as important in terms of realism. Today you need really realistic sounding reverbs if you want to recreate the sound of a real space, and certainly in jazz and related music, world music as well, I find it's essential to have a world-class reverb in order to get that real sounding space, and also to be able to create space for the instruments amongst each other so that you can hear the details of what's going on. And not many reverbs can cut that, in my view. 99% of them don't manage that, to my ears. But there's a handful that do, and this, I have to say, this newcomer is one of them. I put it right up there with the best ones. It can produce some really real sounding spaces, and it's really tweakable. Its simple interface really belies what it's capable of. It is capable of many different sounding reverbs, and they all sound great. Plus it has some really cool sound design capabilities as well, which we'll get into later. So we'll be looking at this with vocals and also a bit of special effects as well, and I hope you find this useful. And so let's have a look. Okay, so here we have the Sonsig Rev A reverb, and we're going to have a listen to it on some classic jazz style vocals. And I'm going to start with a really lovely hall reverb, which suits this vocal nicely. Really lovely and lush. So what I'll do is I'll start with the vocal dry, and then I'll bring the reverb in.
Georgia, Georgia, the whole day through, just an old sweet song keeps Georgia on my mind.
So, a really lovely, lush, dark reverb for this vocal. Really suits it nicely, I think. Now let's try changing some of the parameters. So I'm going to play through, and I'm going to just start changing them, and hopefully it'll give you an idea of some of the range that we can get.
Georgia, Georgia, the whole day through, just an old sweet song keeps Georgia on my mind. I say, Georgia, Georgia, a song of you comes as sweet and clear as moonlight through the pines. Other arms reach out to me, other eyes smile tenderly, but in peaceful dreams I see the road leads back to you. Georgia on my mind. Georgia, Georgia, the whole day through. Just an old sweet song keeps Georgia on my mind. I say, Georgia, Georgia, a song of you comes as sweet and clear as moonlight through the pines. Other arms reach out to me, other eyes smile tenderly, but in peaceful dreams I see the road leads back to you. I said, Georgia, Georgia, no peace shall I find, just an old sweet song keeps Georgia on my mind. Georgia, Georgia, the whole day through. Just an old sweet song keeps Georgia on my mind. I say, Georgia, Georgia, a song of you comes as sweet and clear as moonlight through the pines. Other arms reach out to me.
So, a huge range of different reverb sounds there. And I really was just moving those controls around, as you could see, pretty freely, and coming up with a big range of different sounds. Everything from a variety of different rooms to lush halls to plate-like dense reverbs. Everything seems available from this reverb, and it all sounds really good. I think on their website there was a quote, so somebody said it's impossible to make this reverb sound bad, and I really do find it is. It really sounds good no matter what you do with it. And I didn't even get on to the lo-fi settings, but personally I think with something like this, unless you're really going for a vintage sound, then I would anyway want to keep it on this high quality modern one. I find that, as I think I've said probably several times before, the lo-fi reverbs, the previous emulations of previous generations of digital reverbs, which may have been good in their day, but by today's standards are not very realistic sounding and not very open and clear, but tend to fill in the sound with quite a bit of density, because the reverb itself is a lot less high res, you could say. It's a lot more lo-fi. Those kind of reverbs can be good for reinforcing tone and sustaining notes and things like that. and definitely a necessary part of a mixing toolbox. But for something like this, where it's really a big open sound, it's very sparse, and you can hear the reverb really clearly because of that. I almost always will go for a modern high quality reverb, because I want that sense of space, and I want, with this kind of music, I want the subtlety. It's all about the subtlety of tone and things. I'll just quickly show you, if I use these algorithms here, which these two, as I mentioned before, emulate lo-fi, more lo-fi reverbs, because I don't think in this context they would be right. But if you wanted more of a vintage sound, that would be the way to go. And also, you know, these lo-fi reverbs can be useful, as I've said before, in certain mixing contexts where you're not after space, realism, or detail. You're after a density or a reinforcement of, or sustain of a tone. You know, a voice or some other instrument needs something behind it to reinforce it, fill out the tone. Those kind of dense reverbs, lo-fi reverbs, can be really useful for that. Whereas a realistic reverb wouldn't do that. It would create a space for the instrument to be in and enhance the sound, sure, but it's not going to kind of sit back there and kind of coat it with another layer of resonance, which is what the lo-fi ones are really good at doing in the right, if they're used in the right way. But I didn't think for this vocal that we need that. So hopefully, though, I will just play a little bit of it with switching these around, just so you can hear what that's like, though.
Georgia, Georgia, the whole day through, just an old sweet song keeps Georgia on my mind. I say, Georgia, Georgia, a song of you comes as sweet and clear as moonlight through the pines. Other arms reach out to me, other eyes smile tenderly, but in peaceful dreams I see the road leads back to you. I said, Georgia, Georgia, no peace shall I find.
So hopefully you could hear the difference there. People don't necessarily agree on this, but to my ears, there's just no contest as soon as you hit the Rev, the high res or modern reverb. It's just so much more beautiful sounding. You can hear the details in the tone of the voice more. You can hear more space around the voice, and the other ones just get dense. And you know, when you switch to this, it gets denser and less. The space collapses a bit, and it starts kind of filling out and kind of clouding up a little bit. And when you go down to here, it gets even more like that. The space collapses even further, and you get like almost a coating of stuff rather than a space. And again, like I say, those kind of reverbs, those older digital reverbs, can sound really great when used for certain purposes. But no, for something like this, from my ears, it's, you know, hands down the high quality reverb, and it does sound beautifully lush. And this is a great sounding reverb, I have to say. I'm very impressed with it. I'm just going to do a final thing with this, and I'm going to do some sound design, special effects aspects of it, because it's really good at that too. So this is a reverb that just really sustains, and I'm just going to let you have a listen to this so you can get an idea of what this can do.
Georgia, Georgia, the whole day through.
I mean, that is so lush and beautiful, and the notes, you can hear that the notes hang in the sustain. You can clearly hear the harmony and the notes even on the really long tail, and that is something that I find is quite rare in reverbs. Not many of them are capable of doing that. The new lexicons are really great at that, and this one is also really great at it. And you know, it's not something you need every day, but it's nice to have that sound design ability there. And what I find with most reverbs is if you give it that much sustain, that much along the time, it rather than sustaining the notes, you just get a kind of wash of almost brown pink noise. You know, you lose that tonal quality, you lose the note. They're not capable of holding and sustaining the notes themselves. Whereas this one, as you can hear, really does great, and you can freeze it. So I'm just going to do a freeze here so you can hear what that's like. Just going to start it from here, I think.
Comes as sweet and clear.
So, yeah, beautiful. And what I was doing there is I was just unfreezing it and letting the high end decay away, and then freezing it again and doing that a couple of times so that you could hear how it sounds when, you know, the lower notes are more present in the sustain. So, yeah, fantastic reverb. I have to say it's right up there with the best ones in my view. I would say this sounds better than 90% of the digital and hardware reverbs out there. It's just my opinion, but for the kind of reverbs I like, it is. There's, you know, a handful of others which, in my view, sound really great, and this is definitely up there with them. And I'm not easy to please when it comes to reverb. I try out pretty much every new reverb that comes out, and most of them either sound much like other ones or just don't cut the mustard in one area or another, and this one is just fantastic. So yeah, absolute winner. Highly recommended. It's a great all-rounder, and it excels in really every area. Really, really versatile. You can get many, many different qualities of reverb, different types of reverb out of this. It's absolutely fantastic. So, if you found this useful, do subscribe and give it a thumbs up and ring the bell and all that. And I hope to see you next time.